The We're Here For You project aims to provide 2S LGBTQ+ youth with community, affirmation, education, and resource sharing.
Hi, my name is Jay Legaspi, and I identify as a queer, gay, cisgendered man, and my pronouns are he, him, his. One thing I want to say to everyone is that you are valid, and you are important, and that you are loved. You know, we don't hear that very often, and it motivates me, and I think it motivates others. It motivates others to write their own stories and to not have anyone take control of that pen that writes their story. What are some of your favorite 2S LGBTQ+ positive TV shows, movies, novels, or songs? So, I didn't grow up with much television in my life because my parents didn't believe in cable. One of the first things I saw on TV, I believe I just saw it through the internet. It was a show called Glee. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about Glee. It is honestly one of the first times I've ever seen a person representing of 2S LGBTQ+. Like, it was the first time, and in Kurt. So when I saw Kurt, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is amazing. He just knows what he wants, and he is just stern with what he believes in, and he faces so much adversity. That was what I was scared of too, because, you know, going into high school, I was never out. I just, you know, assumed I was straight because of what I believed in and what my family believed in. It just seemed easy for me to just like be straight, you know what I mean? So when I watched people like Kurt, it just, honestly, it inspired me, and it opened my eyes to see what we truly face on a daily basis. And although I didn't face it as much in my own school, because I wasn't even out, I did have rumors going around, and I did have people say things about me just because of how I acted. And it did do a lot to my own mental health, and I think that's something we have to address in today's society, where we can't just assume someone's sexuality because of what they do or what they say or how they act. You know, we can't just be going around telling people what they are, because everyone is unique and everyone is interesting and everyone is authentically them, and we can't just label them and put them in a box. I actually made some top lists for like the TV shows, movies, and novels or books. Top movies, I know it's a little cheesy, Call Me By Your Name. If you have not seen that, it is like artistically pleasing. To watch Call Me By Your Name and just to like take it all in, it just shows like the true artistry of what love is and how intricate it is and how beautiful it could truly be. It was a really, really good story, and I love stories. So honestly, great movie, 10 out of 10. Next, another cheesy one, Love, Simon. This did show a lot of 2S LGBTQ+ representation, because this movie jump-started the, I guess, Gen Z crowd, where it showed us that like that love can spark from a weird place, the internet. It's just hard for us to process our feelings for anyone who identifies as 2S LGBTQ+, because we're not the norm from what people say. And I believe I'm normal. I believe everyone is normal. So I hope that we can change that the narrative and change the heteronormative view of how people just assume and see things as normal and abnormal. And then the last movie, I think this is one of my favorites, is Moonlight. Moonlight showed a very different perspective. Someone going through their own sexuality and their own identity. It broadened my perspective. The true pain I felt in that movie and the feelings that arose from everything that I watched. It was a lot, but then it was something I really needed to see. The reason why I love it so much is that I connected and I felt, and it made me dream of the possibilities of what I want and what I am looking for. And that's why I loved Moonlight. Honestly, best movie out of the three. I think that was my top one. Shows. So top shows would be Glee, Modern Family, RuPaul's Drag Race. Modern Family, I know, right? If you've ever watched that series, amazing. The reason why I love it is because Cam and Mitch are two old white males, like not old white males, they're just white males, but they're gay and they're amazing, and that couple dynamic is so funny and so real and just so human. And I love that. I loved how they're breaking the barrier of seeing it as normal and having a family be a family, whether or not you adopt or whether or not you have a reproductive child, a biological child. Oh my gosh. So like when they had Lily, their adopted child from Vietnam, it just showed me how much I want to do that. Like I want to be able to adopt. I want to be able to foster when I get older. It just taught me how to dream, that show. And it taught me how to believe in my future and in me. And Glee as well. Oh my gosh, just the musicality of everything and just like the voices, the many good voices in that movie and then in that series was just amazing and uplifting all the time. Lastly, Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race. Oh my gosh, like I cried a lot of times in all the seasons, I guess, because of like how many stories and how many real people are struggling with their own insecurities or problems or struggles and obstacles in their life. It just showed me like how beautiful people can be. Oh my gosh, like it's just, RuPaul's Drag Race is just a funny, fun time. Anyone should watch it. Literally, it is a show and it is meant to entertain, but it also shows the reality of some things in life, and I think that's something we really need to see sometimes. How have you found 2S LGBTQ plus community and self-care during COVID-19? I can personally attest to being one out of the 2 in my entire family who identify on the 2S LGBTQ plus spectrum. It's hard for me to think about that sometimes. And sometimes it's uplifting because I get to be like that example. I'm normal. I'm like anyone else. I'm me. You know, like during quarantine and during COVID, when it hit, I was still learning a lot because I came out the beginning of this year. I didn't feel comfortable doing many things, and I wanted to try new things. So, you know, my self-care methods were doing skincare, and I don't know what came into my head to make me think that, you know, caring for my skin was less masculine. And that's so wrong. No, skincare made me feel healthy, it made me feel beautiful, and it made me feel more me. And same with makeup. I think makeup is a good self-care. It's like a low-key kind of therapy. You know, when you're sitting there and you're just looking at yourself, applying your foundation, applying your highlighter, applying your eyelashes, it just feels like you're, you know, painting a canvas. And it's like nice and therapeutic and slow and moving. And I just love it. And I think I learned a lot about that through the community of 2S LGBTQ+. Because, you know, a lot of people that identify on the spectrum, they are who they are. And it just inspires me because I'm like, anyone can be who they want to be and no one's stopping you. Like going through COVID and going through quarantine, you know, that was just a transition for me to be able to know all the self-care methods of trying to put myself first and learning from my peers on the media. Because I didn't know anyone or many people in my own life who I could go to, I knew that through the media I could see people, some influencers, some bloggers, some vloggers and bloggers and TikTokers who just showed their authentic self. And I've learned to be unapologetically myself. That term, it just speaks volumes. I get to just be who I want to be. And like, I don't have to apologize to anyone. Like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm being so nice. No. Like, I'm sorry that you don't see the true potential sometimes. But this is me, and this is who I want to be, and this is me being me. Amen.
The LGBT YouthLine is there for Ontario 2S LGBTQ+ youth from Sunday to Friday, 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.